on ESO Daily on PS4, and today we are going to be discussing Nirncrux grinding. Now, I started the video here specifically because as we look at the map, we can see we are in Craglorn. And on my positioning here, we're just outside of Belnarth. Now, this is kind of important because Nirnholm can be everywhere, anywhere. And it's very important to understand that this is just a voidstone ore, but when I hit it, there's my potent Nirncrux. Now, it's random. I mean, I don't know what variable it is to calculate the drop percentage, but it's very important to understand that potent Nirncrux is used for weapons, and fortified is used for your armor. Now, I do use my speed build when I'm harvesting, and to be honest with you, I have no idea how many I will get. I can't even begin to average it out to you guys how often I will get it. Now, I'm usually here for alchemy as well, but literally the only time I've ever pretty much seen Nirnholm or Nirncrux drop is off of notes. So basically your Nightwood, Voidstone, and Void blooms is pretty much where you can find your Nirncrux. And also there is a chance of Nirncrux dropping actually off of the Welvas. And that's pretty much the creatures that look somewhat like half badger, half wolf. That's the only way I can explain them. But if you kill those, there's a chance of them dropping, because anything that can drop Shadowhide has the potential of actually dropping it as well. Now, once again, I have always stressed the importance because Nirnholm is great in many ways. Now, for PvE, you don't see it as much, but it's good for tanks to have it maybe on a piece of gear, especially if they know the dungeon or a specific boss fight is dealing heavy spell powers. If that's the case, then it's great to have because it gives you spell resistance. On the weapons, it's great because with the upcoming DLC, they're actually going to, I'll just go ahead and kill all this stuff while I'm at it too. But it's also going to be great because it's going to add weapon damage, not just spell damage. And that is always great for your DPS. A lot of people like to go with precise, and precise is fine, but Nirnholm gets the job done a little bit better. I wouldn't say tremendously like over the top. It's not like it's overpowered. And usually if you're going to trade any armor with Nirnholm, you're not just going to stack spell damage, unless you're in PvP and you want to go ahead and do that, by all means. But we definitely, like, when I'm PvPing, I do have a couple of Nirnholm pieces, because typically a lot of people in Cyrodiil are Magicka based, but it leaves me kind of vulnerable if I do that. I'll get that chest today. I'm not really worried about chests. It leaves me vulnerable to the stand builds. So just remember that too when you're building your gear for PvP. I always tell people it's like paper, rock, scissors. You can go ahead and put a lot of resistance in your gear in this aspect, but it's always going to leave a vulnerable spot. So you have to know, like, one class is not going to be every class. Now, the players can be a little bit better, but it doesn't mean necessarily one build is more dominant than any other build. Sometimes I'll just check, even if they open it. Now, I find that when I was leveling, and I first heard about Nirnholm, I would try to come here and farm, but being even at Bet 13 at the time, with as many mobs as there is, it was really hard to solo. Made it well. This is the one bad thing, even with this build, which is a great build for farming, you're going to get caught up sometimes in combat. Nothing you can do, just kill them. I love Arcane Well, one of my favorites. Now, there are, if you're in Upper Craglorn, you can sometimes loot gear with Nirnholm for trait. But let me tell you a secret here. If you're trying to acquire Nirncrux and you do not take 10 points in your craft, like blacksmithing, and you settle for 9, you'll get Craglorn rights, right, for turn in, and you'll get the surveys. When you get those surveys, that increases your chance of acquiring Nirnholm, or Nirncrux. That is pretty amazing if you're needing the trait material to craft it. Now, I'll be honest with you, I have yet to get one piece of gear to research Nirnholm, and I've killed so many things. I've done some raids, so what I do, I just go on the guild vendors, and usually the players who have acquired it will just sell it. And it can be costly. Weapons are very costly because potent Nirncrux is rare. Okay, fortified is cheaper, considerably cheaper than potent. If you find potent Nirncrux, that is like, you know, more valuable than anything in this game. It is a very rare item to acquire. So just a heads up for all those people wondering, why can't I ever find any potent Nirncrux, or why can't I get it cheap? Because it is probably one of the most rare items in this game, as far as any crafting material. Now I'm going to definitely pull aggro, so I might as well just kill them. So yeah, just a heads up, guys. Just know if you get a chance to find all this out. Now there's not a lot of players running around here these days because of the new DLCs, which is fine. At one time this was the end game. It's all vet 14 now, and what I really would like to see happen, since they are taking away the vet levels, I'm hoping that they scale some of this old gear. Now I doubt they do that because they do come out with new gear, but I really think some of these old sets I would have loved to use. Now they actually have taken some of this old gear and transitioned it, like the Warlock gear, into drops in dungeons and rewards, and that's amazing because when you're leveling, they're nice sets. They are great drop sets, and I was amazed by some of these bonuses. Now the problem with that is, though, this game you can actually out-level it before you can actually use entire set. So that's kind of why I'm hoping that they will scale some of these old sets in the future, especially for trial runs, because my guild, we do trial runs, and we run Craglorn trial runs, but at this point we're not doing it for gear progression. We're just doing it for you know, times, get and leaderboards, try to get leaderboards, very competitive at times. This gargoyle. But there's nothing really in there for us or my guildmates. So that's kind of a problem within itself. It's like everybody's like, I would have loved this this set, and I'm like, yeah, I know. So I'm hoping that they'll scale some of the gear, because you know it's a shame that you can't use any of it. But yeah, guys, definitely wanted to just kind of show you about this and how we do it. Now, once again, there's no rhyme or reason to acquiring Nirncrux. You can grind for an hour, farm for an hour, come out with 6, grind another hour, come out with nothing. So, just a heads up, if you're going to be acquiring it or farming for it, I can't literally tell you where where's a hot spot, where's a cold spot, because I have farmed this place left and right and found every one of my Nirnholm or my Nirncrux pieces in all different locations. So good luck hunting it. It is worth it though. So don't for a minute get frustrated and tell yourself, I just give up. It's pointless. Well, it's not pointless because if you're also a crafter and you're needing to do your daily rites, you're using a lot of void material. And if you're needing to harvest it, why wouldn't you harvest it in Craglorn? Because if you harvest in Craglorn, it gives you a higher probability of sooner or later, coming across it. And you're acquiring the materials you need to do your rites to begin with. So definitely not a waste of time. So I encourage anybody and everybody, if you can, and make sure you have the build to be able to handle these mobs, because they are very easily aggroed, and if you don't have a very strong build, you will become overwhelmed quick, even at vet 16. These little vet 13s, the way they're closed up and they're mobbed together, or that's a vet 11, that can take you out. See, I just draw aggro and just trying to grab the node. So they're very hostile around here. So you guys just make sure you have the build and you have some self-heals going on in your build, because if you don't, these things can pick up quick and you can die. If you can do that though, it's well worth it. It's very well worth coming out here, acquiring your void, getting the chance at the Nirnholm and Nirncrux, so we'll take advantage of it. Now, when I'm in the restoration, I deal a lot less damage, but in my opinion, fast does not always mean better. Okay, there we go. Now, if a lot of people are going to ask, Mystic, how do you have a rotation? I do, but I'm usually covering quite a bit of the map, and I take about an hour to go through my harvest. Now, it just so happened that it's targeting a roll. Sometimes you just gotta roll. I'll go throughout the entire map. I'll take an hour, and I'll go through the entire map because I'm needing void at the moment. So this is my time to do it, and I'll go here because I'm trying to acquire that Nirncrux on top of my void. So once again, if you have any questions or comments, please post them below. If there are questions, I will try to get to them. If you do like the video, I always ask, if you like it, go ahead and subscribe. If not, that's okay. And once again, I do want to thank you for watching, and always have a nice day.